There
How
you
you
go.
been, bro?
What's up, man? Good, good. How are you?
I've been good, bro. Just
Yeah,
living life, staying busy.
nice.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
you at? Is that your like quarantine bubble or what?
yeah. For now, because the kids are inside and shit, So I'm out here in the backyard in the little gazebo shit we got.
Ah, that's
So
cool.
got the patio heater and everything. So,
Uh-huh. That's cool. Is that where you do like
uh,
all your work and stuff or what?
not mainly. A lot of times, because I do a lot of editing. So a lot of times I just be in the room. You know what I mean,
Uh-huh.
and just sit there and edit. Got my headphones on and just work. So,
Nice. Yeah, and it keeps
but
all the sound off, right? It's pretty
yeah,
nice and everything. Nice. So
yeah.
what are you doing nowadays, man?
I have my landscape company. I got
Okay.
that growing. I've been working on that for a good about two
Growing.
and a half years. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
growing that. I gotta make the company big, man.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, so I'm doing that, and I'm doing my production too. You
Okay.
know, doing my production company, doing filming, photography, all that stuff, music
Oh,
videos.
right.
So I'm staying busy doing that.
Because you're slowly becoming like a producer, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
And is that like
yeah.
producing like music, videos, photography?
Mainly it's music videos.
Oh, okay.
Jumped into doing photography. I'm planning on pushing more into the film industry.
Hmm.
So I like doing a lot of music videos. Kind of more of a. I'm more into the storytelling music. You know what I mean? Not the
Yes.
girls
Yes.
dancing, all that. I like more of the storytelling stuff.
Right.
Because all that other stuff's kind of basic. You know what I mean? Everybody's quick to shoot a little party video. But I want to do the storytelling type of music.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the problem too, know that it's so easy and that it's so appealing to many people that more and people do it. But then there's also
Yeah.
people that enjoy the lyrics and the
Yeah.
storytelling. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
music was in back then, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
slowly fading away. And that's what kind of sucks too.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many
It
video,
is, man.
how many videos have you shot?
I've shot, I'd say about like five of them,
Oh, really?
and I've worked on quite a few sets. I've been behind the scenes, stuff like
Ah,
that. Just to kind of get familiar. I got buddies of mine that do the same thing.
uh-huh,
So I'll go out, you know what I mean, and shoot some good behind the scenes for them
uh-huh.
and stuff like that. So it's pretty exciting,
Nice.
man. Working on sets. I did a project. Later last year
Uh-huh.
for a film, so movie's supposed to be coming out hopefully this next year with this COVID stuff. Ain't helping
Really?
anything. But yeah, it was cool. I was able to work on set, you know what I mean? Meet a bunch of actors and stuff, so it was pretty cool.
See, oh, where's this movie gonna come out in? It's gonna be streaming
Uh,
where?
I think they're gonna try to push it to theaters, but right now,
Oh,
since all this
really?
is going on,
Yes.
yeah, because it's a real deep storytelling type of, and they want to kind of flip it into a Netflix documentary also. So
So,
it's gotta.
uh-huh.
Go ahead.
And right now you're in Victorville, still, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm still out here in Victorville.
Are the theaters?
I go down the hill. Yeah, they're closed out here. They're
Hey,
closed out here.
movie theaters in Texas are open, so if anything, time to bring the movie over here, man.
Yeah, they probably are, man. They're gonna, you can't stop. You got to kind of work around and do what you got to do, So it's pretty cool, man. Learning more in music, the film industry, music industry. So it's been
That's
pretty
cool,
exciting.
man. Did you ever think that you were gonna end up where you are now?
Oh hell no,
Really?
Shoot, you could have asked me when we used to work together if I'd be where I'm at right now. I'll be like,
Yeah.
nah, you tripping, bro, you tripping. But
Yes.
but hey, things change. That's the best part about growth. You know what I mean? Is you never know where you're gonna end up because it's growth. So
Right.
as long as you're changing, that's the exciting part. You know what I mean? When you change and you start finding, you start learning different things.
And you
So it's
gotta
pretty
adapt to
exciting.
that change, right? You gotta adapt to that
Yeah.
change, and you gotta accept it. Because, like you said, you never
Oh
know
yeah.
what's gonna, you never know where it's gonna take you.
Yeah. Exactly, man. I mean,
Uh-huh.
you seen what we used to do, you know what I mean? Working
Yep.
together, being on, working for somebody, and those guys that have asked us and been like, hey, what do you do? Are you doing your own thing now?
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, I never would have seen that happening,
Right.
but it's a good feeling, and people I met through while I was on this journey, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? People that I've linked up with, talk business to. Um, a lot of them, it kind of, all it takes is a little, what is it, just a little opening, you know what I mean? You open their mind up to possibilities, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they start, some people run different directions, you know what I mean? But as long as they're running, doing what they love to do, that's the best part,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta ride on the money. You gotta keep on moving with doing what you
Yeah.
love to do. Yeah.
Uh,
So is this what you do now? Like, is this your full-time career, or are you doing a little, is this like a side hobby or what?
No, actually, like my main is the landscaping company.
Mm-hmm.
That right now, just because, I've learned throughout, my time and, working for companies and stuff like that, is it's always good to, venture into different things that make you money,
Yes.
and learn different things. But at the end of the day, you have to master something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can't sit here and, partially grow a company and then try to grow another one. You know what I mean? You have to get that company running. You have to have employees. You got to get that thing get the ball rolling in order to focus. Production, filming, I love doing that. You know what I mean? So I want to do it more because it's a passion of mine. And it was a strong passion that as soon as I learned it and got in it, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, I'm gonna use my landscape company to fund my production company,
Mm-hmm.
from when it comes to films and everything. So, my goal for the next 6 months, I'm trying to grow my landscape company to do about at least 3 to 500K a year.
Mm-hmm.
So then I could take that, you know what I mean, and fund whatever music videos or, short films and stuff like that I want to start doing with the production company.
Because that's kind of like your investment, right? So you already have your
Yeah.
production company as investment, and you're working a full-time job, and all that revenue you're using all that to put it in your investment, which is your production career. And
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm guessing that you want to eventually just, go do all that full time, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So and once I kind of planned it out, because at first I'm like trying to do both. You know what I mean? Like I want to just
Yeah.
get it done, and then you got to sit back and you're like, all right, I gotta still pursue this, still learn. The filming. I still educate myself on that every day. Um, but at the end of the day, I need to make sure because I can't just chill. I got a family. I got 4 kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Wife. So
Yes.
I can't just chill and I got to make sure money's coming in regardless. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I decided, you know what? I'm going to focus on the landscape company, get that to where I need to get it, and continue to invest in myself. And once my boys get bigger, if they want to run the landscape company, they could go and run that. You know what I mean? And I'm going to continue to grow this, grow a production team, and
Right.
just start pursuing that. Yeah.
Right. And that's great because especially since you have a family, like you say, you got to also support the family, but you're not
Oh,
only
yeah.
supporting your family, but you're supporting your dream,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's what you have to do, and I'm pretty sure like it would have been a good, like even I think about it sometimes, like I wish I could have started this when I had no kids and it was just by myself,
Yeah.
and that would be great. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason,
Yep.
and throughout time you get experience and you get more wisdom and you start getting more people that eventually may lead to your dream career, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and then too, people are different. I have buddies of mine that make 60 to 70,000 a month. They have no kids. They're just doing that. That's their hustle. They're driven. They have that self motivation. Me myself, I think I'm more family motivated. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
me having my kids in that is what drives me to really hustle. When I didn't have kids, when I was young, you know what I mean? I made money, but I wasn't exceeding it. You know what I mean? I made enough. Okay,
Mm,
I'm comfortable.
just for
You
yourself.
know, yeah, you know what I mean? I got, it wasn't the future generation that I was focused on. But now having them, my hustle is what's going to change their future. So now, you know what I mean? Hey, bills are paid. It's no time to chill. You know what I mean? Like it's the next level. So it's
Right.
always a consistent hustle.
Yes.
But that's the good part. Having your kids, it gives you a different type of motivation. You wake
Yes.
up, you're like, there's no time to complain. There's no time to make excuses. I got to get out there and do what I got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's especially, when you wake up and you see them, you're like, you want more for them and you want to
Yeah.
kind of also give them the tools and the foundation in order
Oh
for
yeah.
them to grow, especially one that wasn't able to have that at young age. At least you can go ahead and provide that to them, you
Oh
know
yeah.
hopefully with a little bit of struggle for them too, since we're all going
Oh
through a
yeah.
struggle, right?
Yeah. And that struggle is what makes you appreciate it.
Yes.
I mean, and I want to make sure they appreciate it as much as, regardless how big I grow the companies, how financially stable I position them. I want them to understand the value of money, what it's like to work. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because then they're gonna appreciate the dollar more. You know what I mean? And learning that is, I'm on them. Still at a young age. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? I show them, hey, you want to make money? This is what you got to do. Done, and nothing comes free. Nothing comes free.
what
So
do you what do you
it's
have them do?
chores around the house. Cleaning stuff up.
Right.
And I kind of have them. I let them pay for stuff.
Nice.
When they do make their money. And start
Yeah.
showing them that. Since me being in business, they see me all the time calculating numbers and shit. So
Uh-huh.
they're like, "Hey, Dad, you still do math?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you need to learn math. Because you're gonna spend the rest of your life doing it. It doesn't
Right.
stop." So.
Right. Damn, that's
uh,
crazy. And what landscaping, what type of landscaping do you do? Is it like
I
for
do.
outdoor?
Yeah, all the outdoor stuff.
Oh,
If people
okay.
need grass out here in the high desert, grass isn't a big, big thing. You have those communities that have a lot of grass and stuff, but just because out here you have to, I mean, if you want grass, you're looking at about $200 bill.
Oh,
I mean,
wow. Uh-huh.
just to maintain grass. It's not like down in the LA area where grass could,
And
you
that's
know,
for grass or what? Is that just for
yeah,
grass?
that
Wow.
yeah, that's just for grass, man. Yeah, I have a lot of people that are like, I want to kill my grass. I want to put rock because they're like, I'm tired of paying for it. It's not worth it. So I do a lot. I do as far as gravel. You know what I mean? Just making their yard look nice, trimming the trees. Just maintaining their properties. Keeping them nice. I have commercial properties also. So
Nice.
business properties, everything. So it's pretty exciting, man. I started the company with the rake and the shovel. That's all I had. And I didn't
Hmm.
even have a truck at the time yet. You know what I mean?
Wow. Uh-huh.
I was using my car. It was that drive on what do people need? You know what I mean? What do they need, but what do they not like doing?
Oh, right.
And a lot of people,
Right.
especially out here, a lot of the yards are real big.
Hmm.
So when it comes to out here, even with this COVID thing, when they hit, I thought it was going to slow me down. With everybody being home, they're like, you know what?
Right.
I'll clean my own yard. No, man, people went outside and they're like, no, my yard's too big. I'm still calling somebody. So I was real busy at the time too. And I got tractor and stuff. So a lot of the houses out here have like an acre plus. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's
so they
pretty
got a lot of
big.
land. Yeah.
So at first, who was your first customer? Was your first customer like a family member, your neighbor?
No, it was actually somebody down the street from where I used to live in Hesperia.
Uh-huh.
They seen us, doing our yard right there in the front yard, and they're like, "Hey, how much do you charge to clean up the yard?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, shoot, let me shoot over there, and I'll shoot you a price."
Uh-huh.
And it was a learning area. You know what I mean? Starting the company, how to estimate people. You're not sure how long it's gonna take at the time. So I was like, $80. It didn't look like, it isn't hard work for me. You know what I mean? I didn't think it
Right.
was hard.
Getting
Um,
used to it,
you know,
right?
yeah, you know what I mean? Just doing that labor work. So, I was like $80, and of course, them as being the customer, they're like, all right, cool. And
Hmm.
once they seen it done, they were like, here, they tipped me another $100. They're like,
Wow.
man, they're like, you
Uh-huh.
know what? They're like, it was a fair deal. You know what I mean? You made my yard look good. And then a
Right.
buddy of his was like, hey, you did such a good job. I want you to come check out my house.
Oh,
So I go over there,
wow.
and then it just started just duplicating after that, one friend after another.
Right.
Then I was like, you know what? It's time for me to jump on the social media market. And I started doing the photos, started making my own page, started doing that. And I just started using social media to drive me more business,
Wow.
So,
Uh-huh.
so after that, through almost 3 years later, you know what I mean? It's been booming. I got monthly, weekly customers,
Uh-huh.
just a residual income every month.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Nice,
pretty
man.
exciting.
So
Yeah.
are you like a sole proprietorship, LLC, or
I'm also proprietor right now.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm waiting to do an LLC, gets to that next financial level. And
Uh-huh.
once I start bringing in a crew to start doing all our jobs for us,
Okay. Well, I mean,
because
you already got it started. That's the hardest part, right?
oh yeah, yeah, it was, man. It was challenging, especially when the weather's change. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Because in the winter out here, nothing grows. You're picking up leaves mainly. You know
uh-huh.
what I mean? Leaves all over the place. But
Right.
it just constantly, you gotta once you build in those customers, you know what I mean? Because the same customers I have now, I didn't have when I first started. You know what I
Right.
mean? The companies. So you're constantly getting new customers. Then you have ones that I've had from the beginning. You know what I mean? So it varies. People hit financial struggles. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you could get a phone call and be like, "Hey, I can no longer afford you." You know what I mean? So you can't let it affect you. You just got to be like, all right, cool.
Right.
Call me when you're ready. Call me when everything's good. And you got to just keep growing. That's why you can never stop growing the company because there's
Right.
all that could happen. Company could shut down, So, and you're writing your own check. You know what I mean? You're creating your own customers.
Hmm.
So that's usually the hardest part for a lot of people in any business. You know what I mean? Knowing that you got to go out there and create your paycheck is pretty
Hmm.
scary for a lot of people, man. So they're used to just clocking in,
Yeah.
doing their hours, and hey, I'll see my paycheck Friday,
Uh-huh.
But when you got
Some
to go out there,
sometimes not even working, just showing up.
yeah, exactly. You could just show up, and I see people on their phone at work all day. So,
Yeah. Dang.
but it is, man. It's
So how
exciting.
I bet. So how is it in Victorville? Does because during the winter it snows, right?
Not really. Every
Oh
once in a
no?
while, it
Oh,
does.
okay.
Yeah. Like this time last year, it already snowed a couple times, but this
Hmm.
year we have no snow yet. It's cold in the mornings and stuff at night. Right now, it's about 55 degrees, so it's pretty cold up here.
Oh wow.
But we don't get, it don't get too much rain. Last year we got a lot of rain,
Hmm.
so who knows how it looks? We don't know between January to March. It varies. If we're gonna get a lot of rain or not. If we do, then it's gonna be a busy summer because the weeds grow like crazy out here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
that means more work for you, no?
Oh yeah, more work. I ain't
Uh,
complaining. I ain't complaining. Let it rain, man. It's good. So.
whatever weather on. And
Heck yeah. Any.
I was gonna
Go
ask,
ahead.
oh, and is it still like is Victorville still growing or has it come to
Oh
like a
yeah.
stop? Oh yeah.
No, it's growing constantly, man. They're building. There's patches of desert that are constantly, getting fenced off because they're starting to build more stuff out here. Since I've been, and that's what's exciting too, having my company growing. is seeing the population out here continue to grow
More
and
customers.
knowing I have my hand, where I could go out there and and generate
Yeah.
those customers, track homes, just get a hold of the owner of the, property developers, hey, let me maintain your whole property, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunities are out there, which is pretty exciting, seeing the desert grow. People always
Right.
complain, oh, there's too many people out here. And I'm like, please come out here. It's all good for me,
Really?
because you got to focus. You got to look at the upside of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're not liking why people are because they're taking your job, then create a job,
Right.
create a business that, you know what I mean, where it's going to benefit you.
Right. Yeah, because I remember like in the past it was almost dead. People
Oh,
were
yeah.
complaining that, and it's funny that you said that people are complaining that there's too many people because back then they were saying that there was no people, that it was pure desert. But I mean, the good thing is now because you started ahead of time, now
Yeah.
you kind of got dibs on whatever's coming, right? Because you already
Yeah.
started your thing, you already have customers, so all it is just like you said, you putting in the work and
Oh,
getting
yeah.
out there and putting your name out there. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So,
That's
I got to keep pushing because the first thing people do when they move out here, especially if they're new, is they're going to go on social media. They're going to look up, you know what I mean, gardeners. They're going to, because
mhm,
they don't know anybody to say who you're going to refer me to. You know what I
right.
mean? So they're going to go on social media and try to look for it that way. So I always want to make sure that, my company is somewhere where they can see it. It's on Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, all those different, advertisement companies and stuff, just to, get out there, be one of the first ones to get seen. So,
Right.
so yeah, it's exciting watching the growth, and at the same time, while I'm doing that, my focus is on with my other company also. So,
Right.
if I'm not doing yards and estimating, I'm editing videos and doing photos.
Nice. That's good,
So,
man. You gotta stay busy,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
How
it's
long does it
exciting too, man.
uh-huh. How long does it usually take you to edit a video?
It depends. If it's like a music video,
Hmm.
depends on the scenes. If it's a good 2 days to shoot, it takes, I'd say, a good about 15 hours. I'd say a
Wow.
good 15 hours. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of times you'll sit there, you'll get the intro down. You know what I mean? And you'll start flowing into it, and just because in the middle of that process, you're like, oh, you know what? Let me do this. It's gonna make it look better. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then you watch the video about 1,000 times before you're done.
Right.
So you don't even want to hear the song anymore. You're like, I don't. I'm done with the song. But
Yeah.
but then once you post it, you know what I mean. You share it, and everyone's feeling it. You're like, all right. You start really enjoying it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're sitting at the computer hearing that song over and over and over, it's pretty funny. But it's worth it. It's fun. You know.
Nice. So for you, what is involved in the whole editing process? Is it like clip, like making cuts in the videos, adding beats, or what is it?
As far as with editing, the music's already done. Um, and mine is mainly catching the right shots, making sure I have
Right.
enough footage when I'm out there, the angles, stuff like that. So while I'm out shooting, either it's doing the music video, doing behind the scenes, I'm constantly already ahead of what I'm going to use music wise,
Right.
so that I'll either throw a headphone in while I'm there filming to kind of fill
Mm,
out what I'm going to do. So I'm almost editing while I'm shooting. So it makes the
right.
editing process a lot smoother. What angle I want, because of different beats, transitions. Do I want to swing the camera faster, slow, up, down? So you basically edit while you're filming. You know what I mean? Because it sucks when you're editing and you're like, I should have did this, and you're just
Right.
like, how do I get that? So
Hmm.
that's a good part about. I always review other videos and older videos I've done, to catch shots that I did like and
Hmm.
ones that I should have done, so that in the future I make sure to catch those, and still
I
get some of
see.
the ones I did,
Y-
So
Yeah, that's a huge benefit, right? Because you're like at the forefront. And like
oh
that,
yeah,
like you said, you're almost editing already at the beginning, and when you go back to when you go to the editing, you already know that you did what you had to do, and now it's just, kind of not the easy part, but it's at least it's easier for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. It makes it a lot easier, man. Because you already, once I upload all my photos and stuff, while I'm editing, while I'm shooting, a lot of it, I'm not sitting there going through 300 pictures or, film clips and trying to find which one, you know what I mean? I already know, I remember what I shot, and I'm like, all right, this area, this angle,
Mhm.
so it makes it a lot easier. At first, when I first started, I was all over the place, man. I'm like, what am I doing here? But it took me, shoot, my first video, it took me like 8 hours, but it still was like, it's all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I was like, what am I?
right. Or you just wanted to get it out there, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then my video was long. I made a long video. Like, why did I make it so long? I watch it now and I'm like, that was pretty dumb. Why did I do that? But now my
Uh-huh.
videos are like a minute. And even though I make a lot of my videos like a minute, 2, 3 minutes, all the excitement's just packed in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, because what I did learn while I was doing this was, especially in marketing and any type of business, is people have a very short attention span.
Yes.
So whenever you're marketing your business or anything like that, if it's not catching their attention the first 10 seconds, they're just gonna skip it. You know what I mean? So if
Right.
that intro isn't was let me see what the rest of this is.
Hmm.
If they hit it, you lose a lot of people.
Right.
So that's why commercials and stuff, they make those weird intros. You know what I mean? You're like, wait, what is this? Let me go back and check this out real quick. Because
Right.
then
That's crazy, huh? And I remember watching I went to UTI, which is like a auto technician school, and they were showing us commercials from back in the day when they were making cars, and the commercials back then used to be 30 minutes to an hour long. And they would be just focused on like every detail of the car. And that goes to show
yeah,
you like people really and like that people really cared about the product, so people knew both inside and out about the car. Now you're only buying it from what the commercial shows, which, like you said, is like a minute long, if that.
yeah, yeah.
I know.
Like
Great.
they make and it's because a lot of it too. Back then, a lot of people were patient. You know what I mean? They weren't so driven. Like, I need to run at 100 miles an hour every day.
Right.
So if something is too slow for you, you're just gonna, let me wait for that skip button. You know what I mean? Let me hit that skip button.
Right.
But now with people being at such a fast rate, everything's on our phones. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I mean, shoot, people don't even watch TV anymore because we don't even have commercials.
Right.
So if you have a business, don't even worry about a commercial. You need to get into the ads. You know what I mean, and
Right.
stuff like that. You gotta start paying for. And but yeah, I mean, you could look at a commercial now. What they're like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And
Yeah.
they show the outside of the car. They show the car flying by, show the interior, and done. Do you want to buy it? You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
yep, sold.
And sometimes you don't even know what the commercial was about. It's just
Yeah,
a commercial. You're like, what are they trying to sell me? It doesn't make sense. You
yeah,
know? Yeah, I think that's hopefully, we after this whole COVID thing, we kind of, I feel like that was really important that everybody should learn patience.
yeah,
And I feel like also like with podcasting, I mean, even sometimes I like to listen to like hour-long podcasts, but then I'll catch myself to where I'll want to just stop or switch a video, for that short attention span. But I kind of just force myself to sit there and listen through the whole thing. I mean, it's a huge benefit because even when you're
yeah,
talking to people like this, or even on the outside, you need patience, because like that,
yeah,
both of you feel comfortable and you're completely zoned out from
yeah.
society and everything, and you can actually appreciate it, no?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, man. And that was a lot of things that I do to get that, because growing the patience is very difficult. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because a lot of times you're out there trying to, you got that hustle mindset and you feel like you have to continue to just run, but you forget, when you have a plan, you know what I mean? You can't just throw that plan in a gear. You have to get a foundation going. You know what I mean? Because you could build a massive building and it's going to collapse. You know
Right.
what I mean? If you do not structure the foundation. And that's how it is with not only just business, but with ourselves. When I started getting into the business mindset as me working for myself, a lot of it, if I was weak, if I would give up, if I didn't build my foundation, my structure, and my mindset, I would have gave up on my business already.
Mm.
I hit
Mm.
struggles throughout it, and I would have just closed it down. You know what? This isn't for me,
True.
But I spent and I dedicated a lot of my time doing personal development, finding that motivation, why I'm going to do it, why do I want to work for myself, is my reason, I don't know if you ever heard the term, go find your why. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? What
Yes.
hurts you, and so once I figured that out, and I put a lot of personal development, like when I do my gym sessions in the morning, trying to get in shape. I hustle. I wish my gym shape, my working out was that much driven like my hustle, but but I'm trying to get back into that. You know what I mean? And even getting back into that, I had to jump right back into my personal development. Because it kind of you start veering off. Oh, I got the business thing going. You forget about those little roots. You know what I mean? Let me get my roots dug
Yeah.
back in again. And so I had to focus on that. I'll get my headphones, wake up in the morning, and start doing personal development. Because I got to get that structure. I'm like, all right, I can't just ignore what got me here. So I need to go back to there, focus, see what I got to do as far as business wise. And it helps you settle down. I have personal development videos, motivation videos that are a good hour, 45 minutes.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I just make sure to sit there and listen to them while I'm, doing whatever workouts I'm doing, or even just relaxing, just paying attention,
Right.
just to get that structure going again, So I tell a lot of people, that do want to create, start a business. I'm like, well, having an idea is really good, learning on it, but make sure you start building your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have an amazing idea and you're going to have family telling you how crazy you are. Go find a job at Amazon, you know what I mean? Go get a
Yeah.
job there. But your passion is because you want to do that business, So you got to build that structure, that mindset to be able to ignore all those people that don't believe in you or think, just because they gave up in themselves. A lot of people do. You know what I mean? So you got to veer past all that and just continue to stay focused while you're doing it. That's why it's very
Right.
important. So, and I've had people that told me when I started my production company,
Uh-huh.
you're crazy, you didn't go to school for this, you didn't go to school for that, you're already in your 30s, you know what I mean? And I'm like, dang, man, and then next thing you know, they see me hanging out with Sugar Free, Too Short, Baby
Uh-huh.
Bash, and all these other people, and they're like, you got any invite tickets? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, now you believe I could do something, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
so it's pretty funny, and I didn't focus on that. I just learned what I wanted to do and just pushed it,
Right.
so it's exciting, man.
So how do you deal with like those distractions that try to attack you or try to slow you down?
Now, honestly, now in my position, um, it doesn't affect me at all. You know what I mean? It just I'm so past that part. You know what I mean? Like my focus is already, basically I already see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? My
Mm.
game plan, what I have to do, structure wise, business wise. So whatever comes at me, because life does throw things at you. But at the end of the day, you always got to remember if you're able to control it, you can't stress about it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So never stress about things you can control or fix. Bills, we can't stress about bills because all we got to do is get up and go work more, and make those bills get paid. Um, so when it comes to anybody that's doubting, you know what I mean? The good part is I don't put out any of that energy as far as me, saying I'm better than people. I don't like doing any of that, because I always feel like I'm learning. There's always somebody that I can learn something from. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever really put that energy out there to create people. I mean, I've had little people that are starting in the film industry get mad. Oh, this video looks dumb or this and that, and I'm like, hey, we have different tastes. That's fine with me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yes.
I really don't care, because this is what I felt. You know what I mean? If I like the video, I like the video. So
Right.
because there's videos that I see people edit, and I'm like, nah, that's not my style. You know what I mean? I don't care for it. I'm not gonna go
Right.
out there and tell them because that's their style. You know what I mean? It's like I
Right.
let them do them. If it, like they say, if you have something negative to say, don't say it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you never know where that person's coming from. What struggles they're going through if they're just starting their career. Stuff like that. So a lot of it is you want to be treated. So
Right.
I say on that. If I have anybody just throwing shade at me, then I'm like, hey, I'll block you. I'm not even gonna hold my breath. I'm not gonna let it bug me.
Right.
I just gotta stay. So, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get
No. Yeah, man. No, that's true. And there's every nowadays there's a taste for everything
yeah,
and anything. And like even even at the beginning, people were telling me, well, you know what, everybody has a podcast. I'm like, well, good for everybody. But
yep,
there's always somebody that likes a certain amount of people, and all you
yeah.
gotta do is, you gotta touch them. But there's an audience for everything. And
Oh yeah,
as long as you stick to something that you love to do, then just continue on doing. And it might be something great or it might not, but at least that you enjoy doing it.
oh
you
yeah,
know and
yeah, definitely.
when did you get that feeling that, like, you know what, this is for me? Did you ever get that feeling?
Um, yeah, I actually did. A lot of it was when I started doing the film. Because a lot of it was when I was younger. I always loved music videos. When Snoop Dogg
Mm,
and all them were making videos.
mm-hmm,
But being in not a good financial stability. I didn't
mm-hmm.
always have HBO and none of that. So if I knew somebody that did, I would shoot them VHS and hey, record some of these HBO videos for me. Because I want to watch the music videos. So
Right.
it was always on the back of my mind, that I loved music videos and creating a video for the music. And so I ended up meeting a buddy of mine, Win with Sand, man. A very successful guy. He's out there traveling all over the place. He's in an airplane almost every weekend. So um, I ended up meeting him, through my business ventures and stuff, and that's what he
Mm,
does.
mm-hmm.
And when I seen it, and that was my first time ever seeing somebody film and jump on a computer to edit, and I was like, oh wait, this is how you make a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, yeah, and I'm like, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a camera at the time, so I sat there with him, and I was checking it out, seeing him, create this, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. And he
Mm.
looked at me, he was like, I've heard that before. I'm like, no, this is what I want to do right here.
Uh-huh.
And so throughout that, before I even got a camera, he would let me hold his, and start filming him. And and he would check it out. He was like, "Oh, I would do this," So he would correct little mistakes I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "If you're serious, man, go get yourself a camera and and do what you got to do." So yeah, I went and got myself a $500 camera, and it was all right. Now that I think about it, that quality sucked at the time, but it was a start. You know what I mean? And I did
Right.
create a lot of content with it. But I grabbed that camera, man, and ended up buying a computer, and I just started working. I'm YouTubing. I'm sitting there on YouTube like I'm in an 8-hour school session. You know what I mean? Anything I got to figure out how to edit, camera, angles, colors, lighting. You know what I mean? All that stuff. And whenever I would go to events and I would meet other people that, they're sitting there with $20,000 worth of gear. And I'm like, hey, I'm here to learn from you, man. You know what I mean? Like if you
Right.
you have any tips to throw at me, I'm all ears. So
Nice.
I was learning from people I was around, different styles and stuff like that. And and then I go home and put my style that I liked into what I learned, and just kept pushing it from there. And And now, you know, he trips out, he sees my work, and he was like, wow, that blew me away for you to call what you seen, you know what I mean, what you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do. And then what, it's been, yeah, about 4 years now that I've been doing a solid.
Wow.
So he's like, 4 years
Nice.
later, you know what I mean? You're getting, have people hitting you up. You know, I'm going to events. I'll end up running into him at, you know, shows backstage. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Look at this! Like that's crazy." You know what I mean? So, excited,
Yeah.
man. Really
Nice.
excited.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
remember like even how you mentioned, I remember seeing you post pictures with yourself and Baby Bash and Two Show. I was
yeah,
like, dang, look at Danny. That's good, man. And that's that's great. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit back and see where it goes to. It was just kind of exciting for me from especially, how we used to work together and
yeah,
seeing you back then and now it's like you kind of like skyrocketed, which is
yeah.
which is great. Have you like to read books, right? Or
I try to as much as possible.
uh-huh.
That's one of my challenges. You know, between my editing and stuff. You know, but
Yes.
you know, that's one of my challenges. I do have some books that, you know, I focus on, you know, trying to get done. You know, because of course, between me doing the two businesses, of course, I still got to be a dad. I still got to help my little ones,
Yes.
you know, so I still got to separate that. So I'm narrowing down to sleeping less,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
so I have more time. But
Right. Even what has really helped me too is audiobooks. You should give
oh
audiobooks a
yeah,
shot. Yeah. Yeah, like
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
yeah, same with me. Like I don't have a lot of time too, but I do have a time from my home to my work. So between my drive, that's all I do. I listen to it, or even when I'm like on the treadmill running, even
Yeah.
like 15 minutes of hearing an audiobook is a big difference. And
Oh
by
yeah.
the end of the month, I'll be done with one book. Because
Heck yeah.
there's a book called Mastery, the art
Okay.
of mastery, that it says that in order for you to be a master in something, in anything, it mostly requires either like 10 years or 10,000 hours of what you're working on.
Yeah.
And it's great because I've seen that with a lot of people, where they put in, it's like once they put in their 10,000 hours, they're already there as a master, or they've been past it, but not a lot, but they've been through it, and it just
Yeah.
tells you that you need, like what we were saying, you need patience, you
Oh
need
yeah.
patience to get there. I feel like
Yeah. Definitely.
there's already a process and that process works, but people don't have the patience for it,
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they say, all it takes is 21 days to create a habit. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes.
And people, you know what I mean? They still can't, you know, it's like, that's not even a month, you know, stay consistent for that long. And it's
Right.
so hard, you know, it's so hard for people, you know, because, you know, we got so many things, you know what I mean? We're so unbalanced, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? When it comes to life, we wake up and, you know, and that's what blew my mind when I started keeping track on writing down a schedule is
Hmm.
how much it helps you, you know, on balancing out what you need to do, how much time you have. You know, same with the landscape company. If I don't write, you know, if I didn't write down the schedule, I'd be all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Knowing where I'm at, you know, so I got to do the same thing with, you know, my personal life. You know what I mean? With the other business. So, but yeah, exactly, man. You got to build that habit, you know, and that's what I've been focusing on lately. As long as I'm working with my health now, is getting that as far as you know what. If I don't have time for the books, then I need to jump on the audio so I could just throw
Right.
in. I have my headphones on, you know. I have my little Bluetooth, you know, all the time, so I need to just jump on those so I could just hear it, listen to it, you know. So
Right. Yeah, and I think you have to have a strong discipline, no? Like a strong
oh yeah,
self-discipline in order to do all the things that you need to do, right?
oh yeah,
Like, is there times where
definitely.
you're just like, like I don't want to even get out of my bed. Do you get those
A
days?
lot. Actually, those days I don't get.
No?
I don't watch TV very much either. You know, I don't like watching TV just because I feel like if I'm not doing anything productive, because I have sleep insomnia if I'm not productive that day. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to rest, I need to accomplish a lot of stuff throughout. You know, so if I'm up at 12 o'clock at night, then I'm like, all right, there's something that I missed that I didn't do, you know, I didn't get accomplished, you know, and it's frustrating, you know, because you're as busy as you stay. And then when it's time to crash out, you're just like, oh man, you know, like you're thinking of what stuff you're already thinking about tomorrow,
Right.
you know, and you're like, all right, I need to start narrowing stuff down and stuff like that. And the reason why I don't ever really have those days I'm staying in is because a lot of my personal development, you know,
Mm-hmm.
me figuring out why I need to do what I need to do,
Mm.
you know, for my kids is you know more important than that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
me personally, I hate sleep. I hate
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. If I didn't need to go to sleep, I would stay working all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need to. You know, we need to sleep.
Right.
Like who was it? Eric Thomas, I believe he was. You've heard of Eric Thomas, right?
I think so. Yeah.
The motivational preacher.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
how you know how he said he talked with 50 Cent and he said, you know, sleeping's for broke people. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, it's true because when you do talk about people that stress and complain about bills and complain about their life, every time you call them, what are you doing? Oh, I was just taking a nap. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or I was just sitting
Yeah.
here watching TV or, you know, and it's like, dang, you're posting about how much you hate your life and how much you're stressed out. But every time I talk to you, you're never answering the phone going, hey, I'm hustling right now. I'm busy. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm just laying here. Man. You know what I mean? So it's crazy because
Right.
when you really separate that people, and those are the people you got to cut out. You know what I mean? Whenever you have somebody, like I tell people all the time, you know, and they're like, hey, good morning. I'm like, nah, it's a great morning, man. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
morning. Let's go out there and do what we got to do. You know, or, you know, when people ask you, hey, what's up? How you been? I've been great. You know what I mean? What's going on? Everything. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like just everything is just
Right.
constantly going. So so I like encouraging that with people, you know what I mean? Like using the word expensive. You know, I don't believe in the word expensive. You know,
Mm-hmm.
things cost what they cost. You know what I mean? You don't see a
Right.
Lamborghini, you know what I mean? Stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that because the only way to fix that problem with expensive is go out there, make more money, and do what you got to do. You know,
Right.
so because if you ever create a product, what's the one thing you don't ever want to hear from somebody? Hey, it's
Right.
too expensive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nah, you want to create a product that you believe in, or even if the you know clothing line, whatever it is, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you want to be able to put it out there and never hear anybody say it's too expensive. You know, you see all these artists, you know what I mean, that make great money and they have clothing lines that t-shirts like $150. You know what I mean? And you're like, I don't know about $150 shirt. You know what I mean? But they're not worried about the people that are thinking about expensive. You know,
Right. Right.
their customers, they rather, you know, they're already millionaires. You know what I mean? They want people to rock their merchandise that enjoy, you know, money that's not looking for the expense. Hey, put your shirt on sale. You know, you want a cheap shirt, go to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Go to the little outlets and stuff like that, you know,
Yeah.
if you want cheap shirts. So, you know, so it's crazy, man. So you got to kind of build in that structure, you know what I mean? And do the same thing with people you surround yourself with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, People that constantly, you know, I'm very, ever since I became an entrepreneur and do, I'm very open and short with people that I meet. You know what I mean? When I talk to them, hey, how you doing? What's your name? This and that. And then next thing you know, we're talking about, you know, what are your plans?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I ask you what your plans are, where you're going from here, and you're telling me about 5 years ago, you know what I mean? And you continue to talk about your past and know where you're going, we have nothing to talk about. You know what I mean? Is I want to know where you're going. You know what I mean?
Right.
We could dwell about our past all we want, you know, but most people can never be confident in knowing where they're going. You know what I
Right.
mean? I love meeting people that if you tell them, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to have a business. I want to do this. You know what I mean? I want to travel. That stuff, I want to hear that. You know what I mean? Because, hey,
Right.
as I grow, I want to be able to know. Hey, I'll give you a call and be like, hey, let's go fly somewhere. You know what I mean? Or I got a business venture. Let's, maybe it's something that you like, we like, we'll invest.
Right.
So you always got to link up with those people, So, and the ones that don't have that drive, bro, you got to just be right open with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey, sorry, bro, we have nothing in common. I don't chill right now. I don't have time. You know what I mean? I got to hustle. I
No.
got to stay moving. So,
Right. No, yeah, that's very true and very, I mean, very important. And some people just, it's sad to say, but some people just don't have any inspiration or any
oh, yeah.
motivation or any goals to anything.
Yeah.
you know
Yep.
they're kind of just lost. But then again,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it bothers me that those people that are lost and they know they're lost, but they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Or even they even have, I mean, just being here, I feel like just being here, as immigrants, I feel like that's already a privilege,
Oh, yeah.
because we're already here and we can make something happen. And if we're not making something happen, then what are we doing? And I feel like
Yeah.
even if it is, just like self improvement of yourself, or becoming a manager in your company, or supervisor, whatever it may be, as long as you have goals, as long as you have plans, as long as
Yeah.
you're going somewhere than where you were a year ago,
Yeah.
5 years ago, or whatever,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is what I learned throughout working with different companies, meeting different levels of people is like for you, for example, when we worked together, we always did more than what we were ever paid for.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? We had our normal hourly rate, but we did way more than that, and that grew us to when we finally got the knowledge or the information to go out and do our own hustle. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Because we were willing to do it without being paid because we did more than what we had to do without being paid. You know
Yes.
what I mean? For a whole other
Yes.
company. So, and I've noticed with people that I've met throughout the years is I've been able to connect with people like that because they have that drive. They're willing to work without being paid. You know what I mean? In order
Hmm.
to get paid without working.
Right.
And that
Right.
blew my mind. Is when I first started doing production, when I first started filming and everything, I did about a full year of just free work. You
Oh,
know what I mean? I
really?
did everything. Yeah, I did nothing but free work, man. I would go out there to events, make a video for them for some businesses that wanted little commercials, photos. I did everything free because I was busy learning. You know what I mean? So I was hooking them up, and now they hit me up and they're like, "Hey, how much?" You know what I mean? They don't even question it.
Right.
So it's pretty exciting to know uh, that when you start something, you got to do it. And a lot of people are
Yeah.
scared to do work without being paid. So if you're willing to accept that and you're willing to do work without being paid, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Because you're going in for the long run. You know what I mean?
Right.
Jobs, too many jobs taught us, and it's an eye opener because it cracked me up when it comes to people when they say, I don't ever want to work without being paid. When you first start a job, you go to work for 2 weeks without being paid. You know what I mean? But you're still going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're sitting there like, and then you get your paycheck and they're like, oh, we already took this much back. You know what I
Right.
mean? Taxes, and you're like, all right, well,
Fuck.
yeah, you're like, all right, well, this check's going to all the bills I was late, all the money I
Right.
borrowed. You know what I mean? So it's an eye opener, man, and I love dropping information to that I've learned that helped me get out of situations, for other people,
Right.
and I always speak it to other people because you never know who's gonna listen. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I've met people that I've talked to, man, and I've seen them, 2 years later, and they're just a whole different person. You know what I mean? Their
Hmm.
life changed, their mindset. You look at them, you're like, I don't even recognize you anymore. And
Right.
it's a good feeling, because especially when they tell you, hey, after our conversation, it hit me. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And you're like,
Yes.
cool. That's all I wanted to know. You know what I mean? But there are others that you could sit there and talk to them till you're blue in the face, and they won't ever. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna happen. Hey, good
Right.
place. Look at these guys.
Wow.
They're trying to be nosy over here. Look, they want to be a part of the video.
Yeah.
But what I did understand is throughout my year, being an entrepreneur, motivating people and stuff like that, is it's not for everybody. You know what I mean? And you really got to accept it, because there are people that need to work at Del Taco. You know what I mean? People that need to work at these restaurants. They might have that vision. You know what I mean? But there's some people that you just got to accept the fact that, when you ask them, hey, so what are your plans? And they're like, I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Come to
it's
work
like,
tomorrow.
well, you know what? Yeah, exactly. How's life going? It's like, damn, really? Like, that's what you see every day, Yeah. And it sucks, because if you overwhelm yourself with trying to help those people, it'll fall into you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're surrounding yourself with those people that, that are pulling themselves down. So what's going to happen to you? You know what I mean? It's going to kill your energy, your vibe, So you just do what you got to do, speak greatness into them, motivate them, whatever you could, and whether they run with it, they do, you know what I mean?
Right.
I used to do a lot of motivational stuff on Facebook, and social media, and, and I learned that, and it's not that I just motivate those that I know want to be motivated. You know what I mean? So it did help me narrow down people that I was surrounded with on social media. You know what I mean? I could go through my social media and I don't see negative stuff because I got rid of all those people. You know what I mean? I see people really growing, pursuing stuff. You know what I mean? Anytime I see any random person pop up and they're talking about negative stuff and how much they hate their life, I'm like, remove. You know what I mean? I'll probably go comment like, hey, you know what? I hope things get better. You know what I mean? I'll steer them a little motivational video. Hope this helps. And then I take them off. You know what I mean? Hit me up. You know what I mean? Hit me up if it reaches you. If not, then,
Right.
And I wish you the best. You know what I mean? But surrounding yourself with stuff like that, man, it really pulls you down. You know what I mean? Because, negative, there's so much negative out, in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially at times like this. Right now we're in a time where we need to be by each other. We need to support each other to the max. You know what I mean? And people are still out there, pulling people down. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, we already have, a virus going around that's making people lose their jobs. Businesses are shutting down. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just affecting the lower income people,
Affecting everybody.
And so it is, So right now it's so important to keep that rolling. You know what I mean? Is sharing with people. It's my little man. Go inside. I'll be inside in a little bit.
You're going too far.
Okay, go out there. Go in the kitchen. See here. Come here. You want to meet my little man? This is my youngest baby boy right here. That's Damien.
How are you?
Omar. He said, how are you? Good?
Yeah.
Staying busy?
You staying busy playing?
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, he's my little worker, man. This guy right here will grab a shovel and way. I have to convince him that he's only 4. Because
really?
he wants. Yeah.
He looks big for 4, man.
Yeah, he's a big boy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
nice. Hey, you gotta teach him. You gotta teach him the ropes, right?
Yep. Okay, go inside. I'll be in there a little bit.
Hey,
Careful.
No, yeah, man, and that's also an important part. Know that as you're doing that, you're also being genuine and authentic.
Yeah.
And that's also you're being you, because sometimes when people talk, you already know they're being fake. You know that they're lying. They know that they're just giving you some BS. And it's like, if you can't accept me, or if we can't be friends as me being authentic to you, then we can't be friends at all. Because I'm not gonna pretend to be someone else in order to be friends with you. If you don't like what I said, you know what? That's fine. We can move on. But this is how I normally talk.
Exactly. Yeah, it is, man. Because there's just so much of that. You know what I mean? With people that are too busy, They're trying to show off. They want to impress people instead of just, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like on social media, I've had people that, me doing what I do, I don't ever flash money, none of that stuff. You know what I mean? That's just not me. And me motivating people, me always hustling, doing what I got to do. I've had people like, oh, why are you talking about money all the time? And I'm like, wait, I never talk about money. Like, what are you talking about? And, because they get that vibe like, oh, this guy's hustling, you know what I mean? And they want to find whatever negative they could try to pull out of, my social media, and inbox me and, bragging about, I'm like, nah, dude. I was like, I don't brag about money. You know what I mean? That's one of the things I never brag about. I always say, go out there and make money. I throw tips out there. This is what you could do to make money, stuff like that. And, just ways that I could help somebody, you know what I mean? Because we're all entrepreneurs deep inside, you know what I mean? Because we always find that entrepreneur side of us when we're struggling. You know what I mean? If you lose your job, you'll go through your house, bro, and you'll become the best salesperson to sell something in your house you don't want no more. You know what I mean? Because we're naturally entrepreneurs, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the first thing we do when we're in a time of struggle. We'll go through our garage. I don't need this. I don't need this. And I'm going to start selling it. You know what I mean? You'll create a page, so it's natural for us to do it because sales is a very big thing in the world. You know what I mean? Either selling yourself, selling your service for somebody, you know what I mean? So it's always sales, you know what I mean? So that's what I tell people all the time, it's like, you don't want to work for somebody, then find what you love doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that don't ever want to work for somebody, you know what I mean? But what are you going to do about it? How are you going to create your own schedule? So, and I tell people all the time because they trip out on me when I tell them I used to work 80, 90 hours a week. You know what I mean? And they're like, what do you mean? How do you go from that to now making your own schedule?
Right.
I'm like, exactly. I met the right people, learned different things that I had no idea of. Meeting different entrepreneurs, don't tell somebody they have a nice car, ask them what they do, how they get it. What do I got to do to get it? You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're going to look at you and go, you know what? This is what I did. You know what I mean? It could be one little tip and it could change your life.
Right.
And that's what happened with me. I met several entrepreneurs, man, and I got different tips from each one of them. And I'm like, oh, all right, it's on now. I'm gonna go out there and do what I got to do.
Right.
So it's exciting.
You also gotta step out of your own environment and be able to adapt in whatever environment that you're being thrown into, right?
Yeah. You gotta always have that learning mindset. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they feel like if they just go to school, you know what I mean, they've learned everything they need to learn. And it's like, no. A teacher in college that's teaching you business is trying to teach you, and he doesn't even have a business.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's learning it off a book. Go find somebody that owns a business and find out what the struggles were. You know what I mean? What are those little things that kept him from closing down to being successful? You know what I mean? That's the stuff you get out of a book. That's the stuff you're going to get out of living it, being hands-on with it, So I tell people all the time, like, you got to go out there, be hands-on with it. You got to be willing to fail, willing to hit struggles. You know what I mean? When I started my landscape company, man, there was times when I went weeks without a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, dang, this is, should I just go get a job? But it's so easy to go do that. So it was like, all right, and there was times where I had to go do a part-time job. You know what I mean? Because I got to make money regardless. But I made sure when I went to that part-time job, I was there part-time. You know what I mean? I'm like, as soon as business started booming, God, I'm out of here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even managers, they want to promote me, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, no. I said, I respect it. I respect you. I said, but I'm pursuing what I got to do. I've worked with so many companies, and I was real with them. I'm like, hey, you're in charge. You make money. You make your own schedule. You know what I mean? Like, this is your business. I said, I need to go do that for me. Right. I came here part-time. I needed to make money. Time for me to go.
Right.
So they were like, a lot of them were like, some didn't like it, some did. Some were like, oh, they understood it.
Right.
Others just felt like whatever, But I always tell people is you're gonna hit those struggles, you know what I mean? And if you don't want to hit those struggles and you do have a full-time job, be willing to do another 8 hours on working for yourself. You know what I mean? To make that business work
For free,
you know,
even.
yeah, for free. You know what I mean? But the best part is at least you're making money. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you got a
Right.
full-time job or a part-time job, at least you're
Yes.
making money.
You're
But
covering the
don't,
bills.
yeah, you got that covered. Now you just got to focus on you and your business. You know what I mean? But a lot of people get comfortable. You know what I mean? They go home.
Yeah.
Oh, what a long day. Let me sit down for 8 hours and watch TV. You know what I mean? And then Monday comes around and they're like, damn, I got to go back to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, no. Get off of work. If you do a morning shift, 8 hours, bro, at least do 3 hours a day of your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Get it generating. Once you replace your income, then you could walk away from that job. You know what I
Right.
mean? And start creating your own schedule. So, and that's why I tell people a job is technically, I see a job as a money resource. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is in for your business. Why go take a loan out? You know what I mean? If your job pays you good enough, save
Right.
some money, invest into yourself. You know what I mean? Pay your bills, do what you got to do. Don't go out there and start buying a bunch of new cars. You know what I mean? All these new toys because you have a job. Nah, invest in your
Right.
business. And continue to invest in yourself. You know what I mean? I don't like spending money. Me personally, I hate spending money. If it's not going to make me money, I don't want to spend it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's how I am. It's like if it's not going to the landscape company, then it's going to my production. You know what I mean? A
Right.
new land, something that I'm going to use to make more money.
Right.
So, so people do that. Even my wife gets on me. She's like, "I think you need new shoes." I'm like, "All right, let's go to the swap meet." She's like, "No, we need to get them." I'm like, "No, you know what I mean? I know, they're on my feet. You know what I mean? But I hate spending money on things like that.
Right.
I don't go out there and buy flashy clothes. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, if it looks nice enough, I gotta have my little nice clothes, for events and stuff like that. But to sit there and walk around every day trying to look all flashy, nah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend that money on my businesses. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I feel like even like when you're at work, promotions are even a tease, because once you're like, oh, you know what, we're gonna promote you, then you're like, oh wow, like I'm getting promoted. Then I feel like sometimes that's like that's something satisfying in your head, and you're like, you know what, forget everything. I just got a promotion. Let's go buy a car. Let's go buy a new house, and that's it. But
Yeah.
then, couple months down the line, you're like, you know what, I need to do something else. So kind of like promotions doesn't really help.
Yeah. Yeah,
It sucks.
they're almost like distractions.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
when you start you're either getting tired of the job and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go do real estate. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to go to school. You know what I mean? Because I'm only working this many hours. I have time. And then what does the job do? They throw you a promotion. Hey, we'll pay you more, but now you got to work more.
Right.
So you're like, all right, now I got less time. I'm making more money. So like I always tell people, how I've told some people that, how much did your job pay you to give up on your dream?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you said you wanted to do this, but your job gave you a raise and now you quit. You know what I mean? So,
That's a good question. I like that.
And it's a truth. The look on people's face is amazing, because when you talk to them about what they want to do and then they focus on their job, and you're like, wow, so your job paid you $15 an hour to give up on your dream.
Right.
And no, they never looked at it that way. And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, you better get to work, man, because that's what they are. They're paying you for that.
Right.
So, and it's crazy, to see, the different types of people, when it comes to that. I had an entrepreneur tell me what blew my mind was I went out there and I was working in America for 15 plus years. From job after job, different hourly rates, different slave hours, you know what I mean? Just breaking my back. And I did that for a good over 15 years.
Where was this at?
And he, throughout different jobs, even when we went to Forge, but when I met him and he was like, what if I told you you could dedicate 10 years or even less into your own business and retire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, shoot, I already did 15 years for other companies. I'm like, dang, and I'm only falling on to almost 5 years working for myself now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, that's crazy, because how far, like you said, how far it looks like I've come. And it's only been almost 5 years since I've been, focusing on myself,
Right.
so imagine another 5 years from now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where would you
It's
be?
a lot of
Yeah.
change. Yeah, so
Right.
it's exciting, when I look at that, I'm like, like people say, we're never promised tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, but I'm at least now I'm able to focus and love what I'm doing, not
Mm-hmm.
working at a job, clocking in, you know what I mean? Just, and then by the time I'm done, then I'm gonna go pursue what I want to do. You know
Right.
what I mean? When it's done, when everything's, when the struggle's there or whatever it is. Um, so it's pretty exciting, when you start really pursuing what you want to do
Yes.
and motivating others to do it, man. I love seeing people that I talked to before and seeing them pursuing their own business, from clothing lines. You know what I mean? Just being a whole different person. I'm like, dude, when I talked to you on the phone, you were like, no, there's no such thing as me ever being in my own business. You know what I mean? Or any of that. And now they're doing their thing, So it's like, cool.
Right.
At
Yeah.
least maybe I opened something in your mind,
Right.
But it's fun, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I feel like it's also a lot of trial and errors. You gotta
Oh yeah.
also try to do things that, because even some people, they ask, like, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do, but I know for sure I don't want to be in a full-time position with a company. I know I one day hope to have my own business, and my thing is like,
Yeah.
just go out there and do something. Whatever the first idea that you get, if you want to open up this restaurant, go for it. Open a restaurant, because even though
Yeah.
that's not going to take you to your future career, your future dream, or your future business, at least now you somewhat know the process. And even within the process, you might meet somebody that can go ahead and catapult you to your future career or your future business. But it's that I feel like it takes that execution and that trial and error to do many things, and eventually you'll get there.
Yep.
You know?
It is, man, and it's that first step. You know what I mean? Um, and that's the scariest part.
Yes.
For people to do, because what I love when I generate a conversation with somebody and they have ideas.
Mm.
Because I know people that started clothing lines. You know what I mean? People that have different marketing companies that do investing. So I've met different people in different companies, and I've learned little things from them. So if I meet somebody that, hey, this is my idea of opening this type of company, I'm like, okay, well, I could either link you up with somebody, you know what I mean, to give you more information on how to get started. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But don't just sit on this. You know what I
Right.
mean? Don't just think of it and throw it under the table and wait till your job decides to fire you. You know what I
Right.
mean? And now you're looking for another job instead of focusing on your dream.
Yes.
It's like, if that idea is running through your head, then, sit down at home, go on TED Talk. TED Talk drops a lot of knowledge on stuff
Oh,
too,
right. Mm-hmm.
so I tell them, I'm like, dude, you look up, on the internet, you can look up anything you want information on and you will find it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
Yes.
love watching that show Shark Tank. You ever
Oh, okay.
watch Shark Tank?
Yes.
I love watching that, because not only just because they investing in other businesses, but hearing the knowledge they drop to all these growing companies. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? What they're doing wrong, what they
Yes.
could have done, and
True.
I'm like, man, because I've had people that want to invest in my landscape company, but when I feel like I could grow it to where I don't even need an investor, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why give somebody a piece of my company that I grew from the start? You know
Right.
what I mean? In order for them to, sit back and be like, hey, just because they have the capital, you know what I mean, to drop in, and now they got a piece, and I'm like, nah, you know what? I'll just continue to to grow it. You know, if you could grow a company without needing an investor, without needing a business, that's even better. You know what I mean? Because you're in
Right.
profit a lot faster. You know, you could go get $100,000 business loan. You ain't in profit until that $100 paid. You know what I mean? Don't
Uh-huh.
walk around. Same with school. You know, if you go to school and you get a $60,000, loan for your school, and you start working as a nurse or whatever you're doing, oh, I'm making 45 an hour. It's like, no, take away that payment. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
not in profit
Oh yeah.
yet. You need to pay that school back first. And
Right.
then you could feel like, I got it in.
Right. Then the profit comes in.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like, skip that part, and it's like, nah, avoid it. If you gotta do it, then do it. You know what I mean? But um, but you got to look at it in that way. If you take a $60,000 loan and you could pay it back in 6 months, that's even better.
Oh yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you always got to look at, how could I get rid of, whatever little investment, whatever loan, whatever it is that you decide to receive for your business or your idea, whatever you're trying to do,
Right.
but you got to kick it in gear. And the best thing, a lot of people think, let me just get the money, because I'm sure you've heard people say, oh, I haven't started it because of money.
Right. Right.
It's like, okay, so if I handed out a $50,000 check, what's the first thing you do? They won't even
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I
Right.
mean? Are you going to jump in marketing strategy? Are you going to jump in material? How much do you need? Do you have a budget? You know what I
Right.
mean? As far as supplies, so they're sitting there going, okay, well, let me think, so you got a
Let
game
me think
plan. You know
about
what I
it.
mean? Yeah, if you're gonna have a clothing line, you got to know where you're getting your merchandise from. You know what I mean? What you're
Right.
gonna put on it. You got to have designs. You can't just sit there, give me 100,000, and I'm gonna start selling shirts. You know what I mean?
Even
It's you got to have a game.
even now, education is not all of education, but most of education is free. If you want to start up
Yeah,
a coffee business, you can go ahead and start reading books, start watching videos. Even if you go part time working at a coffee shop, and you get to know the tools that they use, the equipment that they use, the problems that they come across. And even a part-time job for that is paying you
oh,
money.
yeah,
So not only are you getting paid part-time, but you're also learning. So that way, if you want to continue to, let's say, your coffee shop business, you already have all the knowledge. And most of the
yeah.
knowledge, like I said, it's free. So just
Oh
by
yeah.
doing that, you're already a couple of steps forward than a lot of people, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah, and it is, man. All that, like you said, it's free. You know what I mean? So you could have all that written down, game plan, what
Hmm.
you want to do, designs, whole blueprint laid out. So when you do approach somebody, or if you want to
You're
run
ready.
that way, yeah, you know what I mean? You could show them your game plan. This is what you want to do. They love it. 50 grand on the table. 2 months later, you know what I mean? You got things rolling. You got your inventory coming in, all that stuff. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so that's how I always tell people, when they have an idea, I'm like, all right, well, let me see your game plan. If I had money right now in my account to invest with you, how are you
Mhm.
going to sell me? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And a lot of them, they'll just sit there and I'm like, all right, well, now I'm going to drop some information that I've learned. You know what I mean? I'm not the expert, you know what I mean? But this is what I've learned and what I would do. So, and I would drop that on them, you know what I mean? Like, here you go.
Right.
Here's an idea. Whether the next time we hang out, you'll either be running already, you know what I mean? Or you'll be in the same place, you know what I mean? With
Right.
an idea,
Right. And
so
I feel like as long as I feel like kind of, you if you put your ideas or if you put yourself out there, kind of like I know this may sound like, like woohoo, but it kind of like the universe provides or gets you
oh
closer
yeah,
to whatever you need. Like
yeah,
when you're trying to become a entrepreneur, you get ideas, and because you're
yeah,
putting yourself out there in that position, guess what? Now you have more and more and more ideas. So I feel
oh
like
yeah,
once you're like that, then maybe you come across people that out of nowhere and say, you know what? I'm a entrepreneur too. How about, we get together, have some coffee, just chat it up. And it's
Oh
like
yeah,
you kind of your vision opens up to more
yeah,
possibilities, and now you
yeah,
realize things that you didn't realize before because you weren't chasing that thing. It's
yeah.
just you just gotta put your ideas out there. You gotta put
Oh yeah,
yourself out there, because you never know who may come to you or what may come to you.
yeah.
You
You
know?
definitely got to speak it into existence,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah, there you go.
When a lot of people know me when I go to events, and I do talk to people, and a lot of people do like music video shoots or at music videos. Um, a lot of the people there, they have plans. You know what I mean? That's why they're
Mm,
pursuing being in a music video. They're either artists, they're either being models, you know what I mean? They're pursuing something in that industry.
mm,
So,
hmm.
deep conversation, you know what I mean? Where somebody they know, you know what I mean? Start connecting, and next thing you know, you're talking to them consistently, because they're in the same energy as you. They're speaking into existence.
Right.
You know, I've had a lot of people tell me, like, dude, I've been looking for somebody like you for the longest time. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, when you're ready to work, let's work. You know what I
I'm
mean?
here.
So then I stay doing me. Yeah, I stay focused. I stay running regardless. Because you will meet people that talk and people that are willing to put it in a gear. So I don't bother holding my breath anymore for those people. You know what I mean? Whether they call me and say, hey, in 3 days, I need you out here. Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm ready to do it.
Hmm.
But if we run into each other, 5 months and you're like, oh man, and you tell me the same thing you told me when we first talked, you know what I mean? Like you told me the same exact thing 5 months ago. You know what I mean? Like, and you said you wanted to work and we haven't worked. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
now, so you're gonna meet those different people. But yeah, it's really strongly believe into speaking into his existence,
Right.
um, because it's a very powerful thing, and it works negative wise too. I used
Mm,
to say the word FML, F my life all the time,
right.
and that shit would happen, I'm like, dang, like anything go good, you know what I mean? Because that used to be a
Right.
word I used to use all the time,
Right.
and I'm like, man, and I haven't used that word and it's been a long time. I can't even remember. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I was like, you know what? I need to keep it away from me.
Right.
And so even when stressful times come, I consistently just stay focused. Like, you know what? This is just a little bump in the road. Let's keep going. You know, um, what do I got to do? To take things to the next level.
Right.
So, so it's very important. You know what I mean? Because when you speak into your mind, it tells your subconscious mind to stay positive too. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because if you hold it in, and that's why it's good when you're surrounded with the same mindset. Before you even realize it, is the energy levels just, you know what I mean? You go from chilling like this to next thing you know, you're having a conversation with 4 or 5 people. You know what I mean? And it's all about growing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're doing this business wise, or we're doing that. And everybody's just energized. Like you just sat and took shots of coffee. You know what I mean? You're like, man, why is everybody so amped up? You know what I mean? It's because everyone's on that same frequency. Like, hey, we need to
Right.
get things going. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've left events, man, and I've ran into people that are extremely successful, driving in a Lambo, and I've generated conversation with them because my energy level's still going, you know what I mean? And they're like, hey, bro, you're a cool dude, and I've met um, film producers because of that, you know what I mean? Like multi-millionaires, and I've
Uh-huh.
got to do meetings with and stuff like that. And it was all because, and the first thing he told me, dude, your energy level, your hustle is amazing. You know what I mean? Let's get together. Like, cool. Let's
Right.
do this, So and it attracts those people, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Yes.
a positive energy does not attract people that are just negative.
Negative. Right.
It just doesn't. So, and regardless how hard it is, you know what I mean? Because and that's a lot of it on structuring people. You know what I mean? Around people that are making you feel that way, you better fix it.
Right.
Say that term, if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you.
Mm, mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know?
Yes.
So
Yeah. So,
and regardless it's friends, man.
uh-huh. So
But
before the entrepreneur Danny, who was Danny or how was Danny?
Man, I was just chasing money. I
Mhm.
chased money like crazy. You know what I mean? I was working mad hours, overtime. You know what I mean? Anything I had to do to just make money. And at the end of the day, I was still unhappy. You know what I mean? I was still stressed out. You know, and I'm like, because you're working so many hours and jobs pay you enough to not quit and pay you enough to get by.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if it's those two going on, then you have no time for your family.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So now you just turn into a paycheck.
Hmm.
So that's basically what I was for so many years, man. And I realized it and I'm like, this is crazy that, we're so surrounded, because we're taught, hey, go to school, go get a job. You
Yes.
know what I mean? The first thing you out of school, is go get a job. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that to my kid. You know what I
Right.
mean? I want to make sure I structure my business to be like, all right, you guys aren't going to go work for somebody. You're going to go work for me. You know what I mean? You're going to go out there and do some yards. You're going to go out there and work. You're not going to tell nobody what to do until you show me you could do it.
Right.
So I'm going to put them to work, same thing. But I just want to avoid them ever going to work for somebody. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Don't you
Because,
think that would also be kind of beneficial to know what it is like to? Because I mean, for me, like that's one of the things that kind of helped me escape that. It's like, you know what? Working for this person sucked. So now I
oh, yeah.
know that working for this person sucks. And then after going from job to job and knowing that, every person that's in charge of you sucks, you're like, you
Yeah.
know what? Now I'm gonna focus on something that's gonna keep me away from working for somebody and just work on myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
in that way, a job is kind of helpful as long as,
Yeah.
like you say, as long as you don't stay comfortable with it, and as long as you're
Yeah. Yeah.
pursuing
Yeah.
something
That's
else.
very true. That's
Hmm.
very true. That does help a lot. That's what pushed me a lot.
Hmm.
Man,
Yeah. See.
like I came to the point where I'm like, the only manager I'm gonna like is myself. Because man, these guys. But
Right.
very true. If it's something, as they get older, only time will tell as they get older. You know what I mean, and
Yes.
see where they pursue, where their mindset is at. They learn a lot from me. Business wise, you know what I
That's
mean, and
good.
stuff like that. So hopefully, they just understand it. You know what I mean? Instead of be one of those spoiled kids, because that's the last
Yeah.
thing I want to do to them.
Yes.
But um, I'm hoping that as they get older and see what I do, and take them and work with me, and stuff like that. Because by the time they get older, I'm gonna have somebody else in charge of the landscape company. So it's
Hmm.
almost like they're gonna be working for somebody else, not directly for me,
Uh-huh.
but they're gonna be able to have that position. So it all,
Yeah.
only time will tell,
Yes.
because
Yes, for sure.
working for somebody that doesn't care about you, you know what I mean, and that just wants you to do what they tell you to do, or you could get fired. It
Yes.
sucks.
Yes.
So that's what I always tell them. I'm like, if you don't like me telling you what to do, you imagine somebody that never fed you, you know what I mean, that didn't take care of you, tell you what to do. See how that feels.
Right.
But
Right.
only time will tell when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Whatever lessons I got to put them through for them to
Yes.
be humble. You know what I mean, and build a structure on appreciating life and stuff like that. I'm gonna put them through it, regardless
Right.
what it is. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
them through it. But I want to make sure that I position them to where
Right.
once they do that and also find out what they want to do. I don't want my boys to learn until they're 20 something years old, 30, almost 30, to find out what they want to do. You know what
Right.
I mean? I'm like, dang, I can't believe, if I knew where I was at back when I was 18, I'd be
Right.
retired already, but, I learned it later. I had to learn it from strangers. You know what I mean? I didn't have family that knew this information. So when they look at me now, they're like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
where'd you learn all this? And I had to
Right.
learn it from strangers, so
Right.
so now that they have somebody like me, being able to spill knowledge to them, and information like this that I didn't have, I'm hoping it positions them into really thinking about as they get older what they want to do. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yes, you're at
Because I
least
don't want to be
providing
that
the
dad.
yeah, you're at least providing the tools, that foundation and
Yeah,
everything, so that way whatever they
yeah,
want to do, they can just go ahead and right to it, right?
yeah. I'd rather invest into them if they have an idea of their own business. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
hmm.
I'm going to treat them the same way. I'm investing into you. You know what I mean? The
Right.
same way I would a random person. Like, all
Right.
right,
You
this is
better
what you
get to
want to
work.
do. Yeah, exactly. You want to start your own business instead of running one of the ones I did? That's cool with me, because that's going to build more passion,
Right.
into their business. So, but I want to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. You know what I mean? Or you want to go to this college, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if they want to go to college or not,
Right.
but if they do, I want to be able to go, what college you want to go to? I don't care. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't want
Right.
to be that parent that, I grew up as, like, you better go get a job at 16, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because we
Yes.
can't even afford to buy food, so, so I don't want to be that parent to be telling my kids, no, we can't do this because of money. You know what I
Right.
mean? So my
Right.
job is I got to hustle right now. Like people say, you only have one life to live. I'm like, nope, not when you got kids. Because it ain't my life no more. It's their life.
Now you got what, 4 lives?
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I got to do so that they could, pursue what I started late on or whatever it is. You know
Right.
what I mean? Even if I grow the companies to, a good financial standpoint, I want them to be able to go through and finish what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Just like, Walt Disney and stuff. You know what I mean? They started something, their family continued to grow that companies,
Right.
into, billion-dollar companies.
Now it's
So,
huge. Yeah.
so it's always good, because we never know. The kids could either do what we, you know what I mean? They could either
Yeah.
pursue their own business or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure to structure, their future into having the option.
Right.
I
There it
mean,
is. Yeah.
instead of just having one way, because I grew up as once you're old enough and you're strong enough to work, go work. You know what I
Right.
mean? Go make
Right.
money. So that was the only vision that I had, and I had it for a long time. So I'm like, man, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, just to know that you have no other options other than go work and try to help your family, your
Right.
parents. So,
Right.
I want to make sure, like, okay, nah, my kids ain't gonna do that. If then I failed them. You know what I
Yes.
mean? If I put them in that position, because all I'm doing is reliving, what the next generation, and I
Right.
personally I want to make sure that I change my future generations because of what I do. You know,
Right.
my past generations, man, struggles, drugs, gangs, in and out of jail, stuff like that. So I'm not waiting for somebody to give me a handout, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna make sure I change it so that my boys, as Garcias, they go out there and be like, "Hey, we're at where we're at because of what he did."
Right. It's like
So
you're
and that's the
breaking
best
the
part.
chains, right? You're breaking the chains from that
Yeah.
generation. And now it's like, okay,
Oh
now
yeah.
we're starting from scratch. Now let's move on because now we're,
Yep.
and that's another thing, right? That you gotta make sure that, you know, it sucks that we have to go through a struggle, but that's necessary.
Oh yeah.
And even you gotta even have a struggle towards your future generation that they have a struggle because I mean that's the only way for them to appreciate what they have and what they're gonna have. And that's the only
Yeah.
thing that's gonna help them progress. Because with that
Yep.
struggle, like you said, they're gonna be spoiled.
Oh
And
yeah.
then
Yep.
there goes the morals of the company. Now
Oh
they're,
yeah.
now they're not focused on keeping the company alive. Now they're just focused
Yeah.
on buying flashy things or, whatever it is to satisfy their own ego or, or
Yep.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is, man. And it's a scary thing, but that's where we gotta continue to keep ourselves, grounded
Yes.
to where, like they say, don't ever forget where you came from. You know what I mean? It's like, you never forget where you came from, but you never lose sight of where you're going. You
Right.
know what I mean? So me growing up in the streets and struggling and all that, um, that's what keeps me continuously motivated. When I see homeless people, you know what I mean? I'm always quick to give them money, give them food, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, just because I've
Mhm.
experienced that. I've been there before,
Right.
and I'm hoping by the end of this next year, I'm planning on getting more involved in a nonprofit that I want to start for the
Nice.
homeless.
Nice. Okay.
So maybe later on we'll do another podcast. You know what
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
and
Definitely
see how
down.
things are going with that. But yeah, that's one of my passions, man, is because I've seen it. I've lived in a park. You know what I mean. Been homeless before. So
Really.
I
Mhm.
feel, if I'm out there grinding, doing what I gotta do, I gotta make a difference somehow. You know what I mean? Regardless, people tell me all the time, like, I don't ever see videos of you helping out it's like, I don't do it to flash, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I don't care. I don't care that you see it because I felt good. You know what I mean? Taking them boxes of pizzas, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. This next year, I do plan on doing a barbecue, like a taco truck and everything for
Oh,
the homeless.
nice.
So I do want to
Okay.
set almost, hopefully this COVID thing kind of, chills out, towards the summertime of this next year.
Hmm.
Because I want to do that. I want to get, either a park area, and hit some of my artist people up, come out, perform, feed the homeless, give them free haircuts, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Just kind of take care of them, and do that and kind of
Right.
turn it into an annual thing if possible.
Right.
But just never forget, you know what I mean? Because some of those homeless people, man, some of them pushed their way there. Some of them, they just lost their job. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
so, and you got to understand that, man, is you could go homeless in 3 months and people fail to realize that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because we're so used to paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? It takes,
Right.
you lose your job, man. Next thing you know, you have your car, your house, bills. You know what I mean? Your money's gone. And now, just like that, you're out in the street going, wow, I had a house. I had,
Right.
so crazy, So we always got to remember, you can't help everybody though. You know what I
Right.
mean? Some of the
Yes.
homeless people, I've met people that, they've robbed from their families. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why they're homeless. But there are some out there that, deserve to be respected. You know what I mean? Hook them up with food, stuff like that. So,
Yeah. And
but yeah, I'm not doing that.
that's the thing, right? That, with the homeless, you can one day you can give them money and you can give them food, but then the next day they don't have money and they don't have food, and before COVID, there was that possibility of maybe helping them get a job, getting them all, like a fresh haircut, get them suited up, giving them the
Yeah,
tools to at least get a job. But now with this
yeah,
whole COVID thing, now you can't even give them jobs. So,
yeah,
they're gonna run out of food today and they're gonna run out of food today, and tomorrow they're complete out of everything. It's
yeah.
crazy, man. It's crazy. So I mean, if you do that, that'll be great.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's a lot that I push. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it keeps me thinking on doing stuff like that. Because not forgetting my position where I've been. You know what I mean? Me having the mindset to go out there and hustle and do what I got to do.
Hmm.
I don't want to just be like, all right, well, I'm making it. Peace out, guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not me. So me doing stuff like that, just it makes you feel good, and even the smallest thing, you know what I mean? Because handing somebody food, you don't know the last time they ate. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Or anything, so the look on their face is like, cool. You know what? I'm doing something. And that's
Right.
why I tell people all the time, like, stop forgetting where you come from. You know what I mean? There's so many people there, man, that why it's important for us as individuals to focus on positivity and staying in control of ourselves. You know what I mean? Because, like they say, two wrongs don't make a right. You know what I mean? So you have people that will never open the door for somebody, that won't hold the door for people, you know what I mean, or won't stop to let somebody in line, or those little
Right.
things, they irritate people, you know what I mean? And you're like, dang, I let people go in front of me all the time. I do this for people, I do that, but yet nobody does it for me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I continue to
Right.
run into people that don't ever do it for me. Me being tatted up, shaved head, I have women that still hold their purse tight when I walk by them. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, and I look and I'm like, oh, and then I'll walk by and I'll open the door for them and they're like, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, what, you thought I was going to rob you and now I'm opening the door? So it's funny, and I'm so used to being judged like that, it doesn't even bother me no more. But what sucks is seeing how there's so much of people that aren't polite, that don't, do stuff like that, be considerate, is it makes those that are considerate be inconsiderate also. You know what I mean? So if we don't
Right.
continue to work on that, continue to be positive with ourselves, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to let them win and make me close the door in their face, you know what I mean? Or, I
Right.
don't care if you have one item in the store, you know what I mean? Go to the back of the line, stuff
Right.
like that. And it sucks because, there's those batch of people that do it and there's those group of people that won't, so it's like, are you going to be
Right.
one to flip, or are you going to stay you?
Right.
So it's crazy,
Oh
man. It's
man.
crazy.
Yeah. And it's so funny, like when you say that, when you do go to the grocery store or wherever you go and you just have one item, and then the person in front of you has like a full cart, you're like, I hope it let me go.
Yeah,
No.
and you're hoping, and they look at you and they're
Yeah.
like, and they just turn around and they're like, no. You're like, oh my
You're like,
god, like,
damn you. Yeah.
yeah, it's you kind of wonder like what goes through their head. Like,
Yeah.
did
It's
you
like,
just look at me and go like, I don't care, or just it's crazy,
yeah, but like,
because me.
uh-huh.
I have a shopping cart, even if I have like 5 items and they got
Right.
one. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, go ahead. I don't even think
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, go ahead. They're like, oh, really? But yeah, I've been stuck with, carrying a case of water and somebody with a cart full of stuff, and they just look back and like, nah. I'm
Not
like,
not
dang.
not today.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you feel like, you know what? The next time I'm standing here with a cart full of stuff, I'm not letting nobody go by.
Yeah, that's the
And then you
problem,
go to the
huh?
store. Yeah, and then you go to the store, and what happens? You see somebody, you're like, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just like, so I'm like, you know what? Regardless how frustrating it is, I'm gonna make sure I stay me regardless. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
care how many people do it to me. I'll leave that in God's hands. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If that's how
Yes.
you feel, like that's between you two. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I
all
feel
right,
like I feel like that's also like a chain reaction, because even like if I'm in line and I see somebody do that, like I kind of have the feeling to do that. Then after they do it, I look and see if the next person behind me has only one item, or even when opening the door, or when people buy,
yeah,
when you go to a drive-through and people already buy your order, like just that
uh,
feeling, it's like it gives you that feeling to give also, you know
yeah,
and that's something that we should also continue doing. I feel like that's also like a part of like a community thing. You're bringing more positivity inside, and you're bringing the goodness of a community, right?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely, and it helps too, man. It helps a lot
Yeah.
of the energy. You know what I mean? Because you
Yes.
never know how somebody's day's going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What if
Yes.
somebody's, like I said, going through a drive-through, and somebody's sitting there going like, I need this lunch, but I need the money more. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And next thing
Mm-hmm.
you know, you just bought their lunch, and they're sitting there going like,
Oh,
I have lunch. I got lunch for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, shit, I was screwed for tomorrow, but you
right.
just did that, you know what I mean? And so, hey, when that paycheck hits, the next drive through you hit, you better hook somebody up behind you. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it kind of keeps that energy going, because like you said, people like sharing it, on up here in Victorville, they have the High Desert group Facebook chats, and a lot of people post about that, you know what I mean? Hey, somebody in front of me bought, bought my Starbucks or whatever it is. I don't know who you are. Thank you. You made my day. And they expressed, how their day was going and how much they fixed it, and it's like,
Uh-huh.
you see that, by reading it, then how come it's so hard for people to just understand, like, dude, common courtesy, being polite, pay it forward. You know what I mean? It's not asking for a lot. Do stuff without expecting shit in return.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so many people want consistent, you know what I mean? If I do this for you, what are you going to do for me?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, dude,
It's like,
just
nah.
do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's
Yes.
like, just do it, It's like, if you see a child walking in the street, are you going to sit there and go, would you save my kid if he was doing this? You're going to run and grab that kid and take him out.
Right.
You know what I mean? But with the mindset, it makes you wonder, you know what I mean? Are people really going to sit there and question, should I let this kid to get out of the street? Because they might not do it for my kid. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's too much of that. It's like, we're human beings, man. We need to start really being that more in control, you know what I mean? Because with social media, the moment social media posts anything negative, everybody starts attacking each other.
Right.
But yet when you share something positive, nobody
cares.
You know what I mean? Where's everybody? Yeah, where's you could throw something racial, you could throw any politics, anything that attracts negative. Next thing you know, you have, and I've tested it on social media. I do it on purpose too. So I'll go on there and I'll post something that I know will upset people, and next thing you know, I'm 200 comments in.
Really?
Wow. Then I'll go the next day and I'll post something, positive, this and that, maybe a like.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, that is crazy, and I'll screenshot it and I'm like, look, you know what I mean? This is what you guys want. You guys want negative in your life. You know what I mean? You want problems in life because, but social media does that also. Social media algorithms do drive. That's why it's not good to stay on social media a lot. I use social media for business. That's it.
Yeah.
Just media has an algorithm. They want to share drama. They want to share, anything negative. It's rare for things to be shared positive and make you feel, you know what I mean, to change the emotion. But majority of the time, the algorithm's sharing that negative. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You could tell. You could post a negative picture. You could post negative, content, and it'll get to people's.
Oh yeah, the next post is another negative thing. Yep.
Oh yeah. Exactly. So it's crazy, that our world, social media, everything is surrounded by that. But that's the key where with people I associate, people that I'm close to, business wise, family, is I let them know, we gotta really stay together, keep motivated, support each other, because with times getting the way they are, people will be turning on each other. You know what I mean? If they continue to get this way, but we could either fix it, you know what I mean, or just take care of ourselves, and it's a scary feeling to know that we have babies growing up, seeing what this world is doing right now. You know what I mean? Right. Being with COVID, I hate my kids needing to see everybody walking around in masks. You know what I mean? That sucks.
Yeah.
But, hopefully it clears up, you know what I mean? And things could get back to normal. But, till then, man, we got to be there supporting each other. This COVID deal, one thing that it was a tragic thing that happened because of, it affected a lot of people job wise and stuff.
Right.
But I think an upside of it is it helped a lot of people. I think it did. People that I've talked to really understand that how much time they've been away from their family.
Right.
You know what I mean? Working, and they don't even know what their kid likes to eat for lunch. You know what I mean? They haven't made a dinner in so many years, or haven't made their kid breakfast in years. You know what I mean? Like pancakes. How do you make pancakes? You know what I mean? Because they're always gone at work. Right. So I hope this COVID did help a lot of people understand the fact that you could always, but you can never get that time back. you know. And I'm glad I learned that before COVID hit. You know what I mean? So when it was
Uh-huh.
like you're home all the time now, I was like, oh, I'm cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but for other people, you know what I mean, that never, you know, that been working 15 plus years, 30 years, and now you get to make breakfast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or you get to see it does, you know, interact. I hope what it did was open a lot of people's mind on, is my job worth this much time away from my family, or should I start a
Right.
business?
Right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Or what could I do to give me more time with my family and stuff like that? But yeah, bro. So you know, it's pretty. You know, aside from taking on life, you know, we have challenges, man. Everybody has challenges every day. You know, we never know what they are, but it's a really important thing. You know what I mean? That's why I
Hmm.
like doing whatever I got to do to motivate the next person. You know,
Right.
whether it's a stranger, you know, and I have people shoot me, you know, having all my tats when I go do estimates for clients, you know, especially in the summer, you know, I got my short sleeves on and I
Yeah.
walk in and I'm like, all right, so, you know, we'll start talking business and they're looking at me like, this guy, you know, like, he gonna rob me? You know, like,
Uh-huh.
who is this guy? And then, you know, 5 minutes into the conversation, you know, they're like, all right, cool. You know what you're doing. You know what I mean? They see the business side. You know,
Right.
they steer away from, you know, the appearance. And I'm like, hey, you know, this is my appearance. You know, this is who I am. I'm going to be real with you. You know what I mean? I said, but I'm going to be professional too. So,
Right.
you know, once they see that, you know, like, dude, you're hired. You know what I mean? And they
Right.
don't even hesitate, you know, because they went from being hesitant to do business with me to like not even doubting themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they see, you know, what I'm talking about and stuff like that. So, you know, and I'm never scared to tell other people that too. You know what I mean? They're like, man, I don't know why I get, you know, the cops keep harassing me and this and that. And I'm like, dude, change. You need to
Mm.
change. You know what I mean? I said, you just got to face the fact. Yeah, your appearance is. I said, if that's your appearance, then you need to change the energy around you. You need to change the way you approach people and talk to people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And start creating that because, man, I used to get harassed by the cops all the time. You know what I mean? Now they see me, and I don't know if it's because I changed that whole energy around me. They don't
Yeah.
see that. You know, they don't see me as a threat or that criminal type of vibe. You know what I mean? So, and I've met some undercovers that I didn't even know were undercovers.
Oh.
You know, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? You know, this and that. Nice to meet you. And they're like, dang, you look like you'd be a gang member. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, I love tattoos and, you know, I don't
Uh-huh.
like hair, you know? And they're like, you know, they're like, but what's crazy is, you know, we meet a lot of gang members and they're like, you approach us as a professional, you know, human being. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I'm like, well, you know, that's who I am. I have business. You know what I mean? I can't sit here and, hey, what up, fool? You know what I mean? Like, nah. You know what I mean? So, they catch that vibe right away from me, which is good, you know, because I didn't like, you know, consistently having a cop look at me like, would he steal? You know what I mean? And it's like,
Right.
dude, you know, I work hard. I work hard at, you know, building myself, growing myself. You know what I mean? So, you know, to get judged that way sucks. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
if you portray it, bro, if you walk around, you know, and you act like that, and people treat you that way, don't complain about it. You know what I
Right.
mean? I tell people all the time, you can't sit there and complain about it. So,
Yeah.
but
All right, man. Well, I gotta wrap this up.
all
Well,
right, cool,
well, it was a
cool.
good talk, man. Thanks for thanks for doing this. I thought
Oh
it was
yeah,
very motivational, inspirational, and
cool.
so so you have your Instagram, right?
Yeah. My Instagram is live your dreams,
Uh-huh.
LIVE underscore UR dreams with a Z. Or you could
Okay.
look up, or you could find me on Dream Life Productions on
Okay.
Instagram.
Okay. And then
So either one of those.
do you have a where are you gonna be posting your music videos?
Usually on Instagram. I share a lot more on Instagram than I do on Facebook. Facebook, I do more of my yard business on there, but on Instagram, on Live Your Dreams or Dream Life Productions,
Do you
you'll
have
see a lot more of them.
okay, and then on your Instagram that'll have all your information, huh?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So
All right,
all
man.
on there.
Awesome. So thanks again.
Cool.
It was fun. We
Oh
gotta
yeah.
definitely do this again. We
Oh yeah,
did
definitely, bro.
we did 2 hours already.
Nice. Hey, that was quick. That was a quick 2 hours.
Yes. All I see is like
Well,
from light to dark. It went by
it
that
did,
fast.
huh? I
All right,
know
man.
so. So. But
All
hey, it
right,
was a
man.
pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
I'm proud of you, man. Seeing you do your thing,
Same
and
here, man. I'm
it's
proud
cool
of
to see you
you.
out there in Texas. So next time I come out to Texas, bro, I'm gonna have to come out to
Yes.
Dallas, and I'll hit
Yeah.
you up. We'll do a live session.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if you're down here, let's go. We could hit the studio, man. Like that.
All right.
We'll have a couple drinks or whatever.
Sounds good, brother. I
All
appreciate
right,
it,
man.
man.
Take care, man.
All right, you too, brother.
All right.